Do you struggle with the top tier grind with today's sponsor, 3GE for War Thunder? You might be able to make it a little bit easier. All you need to do is click the link in the description, download the app, complete some simple task and you'll get some small amounts of golden eagles. Now if you sign up with my promo code EPGEK, not only will you get 10 GE upon signing in, but every GE that you guys earn, I will get as well, that I will be able to give away again in huge batches a few times every year. Welcome back, and today we are going to be taking a look at the AV8B+. Now some of you guys have been asking me to fly out the Sea Harrier, and no, it is not going to happen for a very simple reason. It's essentially the same plane as you're seeing on the screen, except it has a worse airframe, it has a worse gun, you have to actually give up the gun to get an extra missile, and with the 4 MRAMs you don't actually have any IR missiles to back them up. So it's literally this plane, except even more gimped, and the Harrier at 12.3 already kinda isn't it, but it's massively carried by the MRAMs, at least right now. I suspect in the future that these are not gonna be anywhere near as potent, because people start catching on that the Harriers have MRAMs, people start to realize how to defeat these missiles, and that they can't just multi-pat them anymore. Now, this might also change in the future, but as of right now, at the day of recording, it was quite okay. I didn't really have a terrible time in it, but I also didn't really have an awful lot of fun. If I was simply grinding something, this thing was pretty consistent. I was getting like at least 2 kills basically every game. And what I did was I simply just climbed straight in, and because you're slower, you basically arrive at the scene a little bit later, which means that no one is looking up there anymore. You dive in and you collect your free kills. After that, I would just go into the terrain like you see right here, which means that you can use the mountains as hard cover. Now be careful that you don't get locked through the mountain, as you saw in yesterday's video, because that is kind of annoying. Now I see a guy on the horizon and I don't really have any radar missiles of myself, so I'm gonna just go below treetop level. I don't need multi-padding when I just put cover in between me and the missile, and I very easily... And here's the same thing, I climb to orbit, I basically dive straight in, and no one is really looking here because I am so slow. I come in from an angle where most of my friendlies have already passed, they are looking elsewhere. And you are basically just a massive third-party machine. Now, if you saw my GR7 video from a while ago, I called it the Dookie Dumper, and it really isn't any different here. It's still a Harrier, you don't have the best airframe, but you have insanely good missiles that people just don't really know how to defeat yet. So I just come in, I drop everything, I start turning out, and I'm going to look at who I can bully next. I mean, there's not really anyone to bully, because I only have the 25mm and some AIM-9Ms. But if someone ends up parking in front of me or flies underneath me, I might be able to drop in and shoot them down that way. Missile starts coming in, and I have the room here to go to the terrain. So I'm actually going to use a little bit of multi-pathing as well as hard cover. We turn into the missile, we dodge all of them, and then the second one starts appearing. Now again, we dodge the missile, we turn in, and we are gonna go and try and reverse him. Now the F4EJ is a very sad plane, and I know that I can outturn this guy very, very easily. Now if he plays it smart, then I probably won't be able to kill him. Luckily for us, he is lobotomized, and he's gonna try to actually dogfight us. Now we lock him up at the radar, and I'm gonna try to shoot him down with an AIM-9M. And I shoot a little bit too early, it wasn't in the gimbal limit yet, so the missile can't actually see it, and guess what, the missile just flies straight off my rails. So I lock him up, I'm gonna shoot another missile, and the second I fire it, well, he gets hit by an MRAM, I think, and we get a stinky ass hit with our AIM-9M. But it doesn't matter because he was dead anyway. And as you can tell, the gameplay loop is kind of repetitive. That's unfortunately the case with this thing, because it's very one-dimensional and it's very much a one-trick. I try to stay on the right side, so everyone that's bombing, everyone that's flanking, essentially just flies straight into me. Then I just kind of point my nose down and I shoot all my dookies off. And there you have it. That is going to be the freest triple kill of my life. We turn out, and we definitely don't get killed by the entire enemy team rushing me after that. And we definitely make it back to the runway, repair, and live to fight another day. Same thing here, we climb the orbit, I point my nose down, I shoot all my dookies off, that's really all she wrote. Now yes, I know that it's starting to get a little bit repetitive, but after this clip I'll show you some actual gameplay or some actual full games. I just want you to realize that most of your games are going to be mentally taxing, because all you're really doing is pressing 3 buttons and collecting your free kills. So I still have an MRAM left, and we are going to be shooting it in a second here. And there is the Mirage. He's flying directly at us. We're going to lock him up. We're going to start turning out the second I have a lock. There we go. We notch his missile. My missile goes active. His misses. And he eats shit. and dies. And then I totally don't die to that Gripen over there. Trust me guys, it really didn't happen. Here's the first full game, and again, we're just at altitude. I'm going to show you a little bit more of it this time around, because I want you to know that you're doing a lot of this. You're just sitting at altitude, and if you are getting shot at, you do need to dive to the deck, because it's very sketchy once you actually do get spotted. If someone spots you up here, you're going to get the entire team shooting missiles at you. You want to avoid that. So I try to only be here early game. So I lock onto like 3 guys, I shoot all my missiles off, and then I go for the MiG-29 that's directly below us. And I make sure to check if there's an actual friendly shooting at him, because if not, I'm just going to be wasting my missile. But he is actually going to end up dodging that one, which is a little bit unfortunate. However, we still managed to get a little bit of a 3-piece, which means that I have completed everything I needed to do in this game. Going 3 for 1 in the Harrier is a good trade in my opinion, even if you die. But we are not done just yet. We now still have 2 AIM-9Ms and 300 rounds of the 25mm. Now the 25 is probably one of my favorite guns to use. Good velocity, it's easy to aim, it does a good amount of damage, and overall it's just super consistent, even though the amount of gun kills that I've been getting in this thing are pretty minimal for very obvious reasons, because well, you are a slow ass Harrier in the MRAM meta, so don't expect too many kills with them. But the gun is good when you need it to be. Shoot a missile at a bit of an inopportune time, but I'm still directly on the 6, so I'm gonna ripple off the second one. And he is definitely going to be eating that one, because he is not even looking behind him. Then we go for the F4F. Now it would have been nice if I had another AIM-9M here, because I might have been able to shoot it at him, but I have to turn around before that anyway, because I am being engaged from behind. Now I have a J8F coming at us. Not really too worried about him. Now he might shoot a PL-12 at us, but I really don't care at this point. I'm just in it for the trade. I'm out of weapons, so I'm just going to be as aggressive as possible. Guy shoots at us from behind. We start flaring the missile. And you can tell that by the time I am in position, destroy enemy attackers and cover the allied ones. Now these spawn at about 21:30 left on the clock. Normally, I am already like 1 kill in when these things spawn in when I'm flying a normal plane. That's just to visualize to you the discrepancy in speed and just the difference in position early game. Now I look down, I shoot a missile at an AV-8. I'm trying to lock onto this guy that is at medium altitude. AV-8 is going to die to that one. There we go. And we are simply going to look for someone else. Now I can chase that guy that is flying away from us. It's not worth my time. Instead, I'm just going to dive down here, prep an AIM-9M. They are notching me, so I'm simply going to shoot 2 AIM-9Ms down. If I collect a kill, it is super free. If I don't, I at least didn't waste any MRAMs, and we end up collecting the F4S. And as you can tell, yes, we got fully down tiered to 11.3, so a lot of guys are not aware of these missiles just yet. So the last 2 that I have here, I will keep around for a little bit until I actually need them. It's a surprise tool that we use later. Now this guy is not really notching, he's just flying directly away from us, and I was almost expecting it to hit him, but it seems like he probably chaffed it, because I'm quite sure he was nowhere near outside of the no escape zone. But you know, we aren't sure. The missile doesn't hit. I see the J8 coming in, and this guy's flying right at me. I know that he's gonna take the fight. I'm only going 780. We're gonna lock him up, we're gonna turn out, and he's gonna eat shit, and we are gonna go towards the middle of the map. Now I still have another surprise tool in my arsenal here, and none of these enemies will have MRAM. So if I get like in the head-on at like 6 kilometers and I shoot it off, very big likelihood that they are going to die. Now I'm gonna just keep it. I'm gonna keep it in my pocket, and I'm just gonna see whoever wants to engage me. And now if it's an F-14 that's trying to use Phoenixes, I'm just gonna shove it down his throat. If it's another plane, I probably will not. He shoots something at me, I'm just gonna use the terrain here. I don't care about multi-patting, I don't care about notching, if I just let it fly into the ground. That's exactly what happens. He locks us up again, we dodge the missile, and we fly on over his nose. He rips his wing off, absolutely incredible, and he puts it into a tree. God damn, I love F-14 pilots. We dive back into the terrain, and we're gonna try to stay somewhat low, but I do want enemies to kind of see me, at least in these full down tiers, because I know that I will win basically every head-on joust known to man. Now he starts shooting something at me, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna lock him up. He saw me, I see him. We're gonna use this little bit of terrain here, and the Fox 3 just does its thing, and he gets slammed directly in the face. Now, in this specific example, a Sparrow probably would have done the same thing. But that's besides the point. It looks funny, and I think it's funny. I now only have my gun, however, and I know there is another F-14 on the horizon. and he's about to start shooting at us, and we are completely alone on this side of the map, so I'm just gonna try and bait him into a dogfight. If I had another AMRAAM here, it would have been super free. Unfortunately, I do not, but fortunately he is wasting all his missiles by shooting them into the terrain. So we kind of dodge the missiles. We then turn in here. We start going a little bit into the multipath zone here. We use the terrain once again. We dodge all of his shit, and then we just kind of pull in and we start forcing the dogfight. Now at this point I thought he was going to extend and fly away, but he's actually going for the F4J. The F4J is not having a great time, and the F14 kills him with a Phoenix. Now the F14 is going to be turning back around, and I don't have to be as passive when it comes to the head-on, because he doesn't actually have radar missiles right now. So I'm simply just going to pitch up. I'm not going to turn super sharply, because I'm just going to burn away all my speed. And I basically instantly get an angle. Now, at this point, I thought he was going to run away, and that's what he is supposed to do. Unfortunately for him, he's going to go Top Gun Maverick. It's not the plane, it's the pilot, and then just pilots himself directly in front of my 25mm. And as I said before, this gun is pretty damn good. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.